Hey everyone, Triceratops Jr. here, back with another speed review. I'm sorry if I sound a little congested and scratchy today. I've got a cold, but colds can't stop my reviews, you know? And especially not this one because I'm talking about a big game today. I'm of course talking about Amazon Game Studios' new MMORPG, New World. So if you don't know what New World is, it's an MMO which takes place on the Isle of Eternum, a place shrouded in mystery where people don't die and an evil corruption is spreading and possessing bodies, causing them to fight back. And so at first I wasn't sure if I was actually going to play this game. Like, I had heard good things from the beta, but I actually waited until the day before the official release to actually get it. And I gotta say, after putting about 20 hours into the game so far, I'm really happy with New World. Like, it's a surprisingly solid game. And that's not to say that the game doesn't have some issues too, but I'll touch on those later. So first, actually, I want to talk about the things I like about the game. To start off, I'll touch on the story a little bit. So the story, as far as I've made it, is pretty solid. It's not groundbreaking by any means, though, and that's not a bad thing because it suits the game and it helps to lead players through it. And I think in the grand scheme of things, this is going to be one of those MMORPGs where the story is going to take a backseat to the world and the community. And so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out over the coming months. But I think that's the direction that the devs are trying to go with it. So the story not being the greatest is okay. The game looks great though, and I've been running it on max graphics, and it plays like extremely smooth. And I'm not even on like the highest end graphics card available. I think I'm running a 2070 right now, if I remember correctly. And so it's super nice to come across like a AAA game that I don't have to worry about having the best graphics card to like get the most out of those graphics. So that's a solid thing right there. It's also like makes the animations look super clean, especially in combat, and the moves and skills feel really good to use, and they help to add a lot to the experience of the game. Speaking of the combat and particularly the weapons, I love this game's weapon system. There are a decent number of weapons to choose from, which is always nice, and each one has different abilities and play styles. And I like that this game doesn't lock you into a class at the start of it. I didn't know that before I started. I thought there might have been a class system, but no. You go in and pretty much you can choose to have two weapons equipped. Once you unlock the second weapon slot, you have two weapons equipped, and they can be any weapons you want. You can use a musket and a bow if you really wanted to. I am currently using a hammer and a life staff, so I'm kind of like a paladin, I guess. But this openness to the system makes it feel really personalizable, so you can play however you want to play. And I've tried all the different like things out, and I chose what I liked, and so far I'm really digging it. The game's world is massive, and I just saw today there was a leak out of like what the rest of the world map is supposed to look like, and it's freaking huge. So having that massive world, though, that means there are tons of enemies to kill and trees to chop down and stuff to farm. So it feels very populated. And the one thing about it is that does lead to some longer queue times. The higher population I'm talking about, and I'm assuming that'll go down a bit in the coming weeks as like the game settles into a normal routine instead of its launch like state. But right now there are some longer queue times, especially in the evenings, because that's when people can play. The game's crafting system is super clean, and it's a huge part of the game, so it's kind of important to have a good crafting system if you're going to be doing it a lot. I'm happy that I don't have to wait like arbitrary wait times for crafting too. A lot of MMOs will make you sit and wait while your character tans that hide or chops that wood. You don't have to do that in this game. There is quite a bit of grinding for it, but it doesn't feel super grindy because, like I said, no arbitrary wait times. You just run around and collect your materials, and you make stuff with it and sell it. And I think the fact that this game makes crafting a key part of the game, in fact, it introduces you to crafting in the main storyline, is like super integral to the whole system. Like, they, instead of sidelining it like other games do, they make it a key focus, and that's going to really add to the whole picture of this game. The other big part of this game's whole picture is the PvP, and this is probably going to mainly, like, the game is going to transform into mainly a PvP experience, probably at end game. And the game does have a system where you can flag PvP on and off, which is nice. So if you really don't like PvP, you don't have to do it. But I think the game is going to, like, get to that point where pretty much everyone's doing PvP. The game uses this system where at like level 10ish you are forced to join a faction. There's 3 factions to choose from, and basically factions can buy territory and they set the taxes and they control that territory pretty much. And what's kind of cool about that system is that it allows you to like form larger cohorts, I guess, where you can say work together to buy large swaths of territory and take over whole areas, and you can control that area, and you can like live there, of course, but also you can make sure that, say, you don't have to pay as much taxes as someone who is from a different faction, you know? It's kind of a cool system to have, and it's really unique, I guess, to this game. I have never seen another MMO with a tax system, and I thought at first I was going to hate it, but actually I think it works really, really well, you know? And so I think, like, that's one of the things you'll probably hear people complain about with the game is that tax system. But really, I think it's something that you kind of, like, you'll notice it the first time you go into a settlement. It'll say, like, on the screen, oh, the taxes in this area are high and stuff like that. But when you're actually playing the game, I have not, like, even thought about it. I'll still buy and sell things in a settlement. I don't even think about it. It's just prices, y'all. It's like, it's there, and if you really want to, like, min-max your gameplay, you know, you can choose to buy and sell at somewhere with lower taxes and stuff like that. I don't care all that much. There's one other thing that's kind of, like, I guess, on a neutral plane for me. This is not necessarily a good or bad thing. It just takes some getting used to. The game doesn't actually have vendors, per se. It has a trading post, and at that trading post, you can buy things from other players and sell things to other players. And it kind of works like your other game's standard auction house or market board sort of system. And so it's kind of interesting to have that be the only way to buy and sell. Like, you can't sell to vendors, but you kind of get used to it. And you'll learn quickly that some things aren't worth selling and are instead worth, like, breaking down into, like, repair parts to fix up your gear. And you get money from doing that as well, but a really small amount. But you kind of get used to it. Moving on to, like, my only issues with the game, and these, of course, like, might change in the future. Like this game came out this week, so if you're watching this sometime in the future trying to get a solid opinion of where the game is at, you might not get it. But from, like, where we are 1 week into the opening, these are my issues. The first big thing is the lack of mounts. Traveling in this game can take a really long time because you have to run from place to place to place. And the map, like I said, is huge, so it takes quite a bit of time. There is fast travel, but especially early in the game, it's really expensive and you can't really do it very often, so you spend a lot of time just running back and forth to complete quest objectives and stuff. So I really hope that in the future they add mounts, but right now it's just like lots of running. So if you really don't want to get into that kind of world, I would say don't get into this game, at least at its current state. The other big issue I have is spawn rates. Spawn rates right now can be kind of low for certain characters, and that has to do with the extremely high player population in this first couple weeks. So I spent like 30 minutes trying to kill 3 sheep because there were 10 of us standing in this area waiting for the sheep to spawn, and whenever someone would spawn, they'd smack it first, and then no one else could get it because those things will die in one hit. So it kind of gets annoying. I think that's something that'll go away in the future too, as less players are playing at a time. But right now, that's also kind of an issue in my head. So I wish they would scale up that spawn rate a little bit, but it might just even itself out. But those are really my only big complaints with the game right now. Everything else seems like pretty small and not worth talking about. So overall, I think with New World, I gotta say, like, I'm really pleasantly surprised with the quality of the game and how much I'm enjoying it. It's extremely fun, and I think it'll appeal to fans from a lot of different MMOs. It's got a lot of similarities to games like RuneScape and Elder Scrolls Online in terms of its systems, but it's also got a lot of fun and original and unique ideas that I hope to see expand over the coming years. So, I gotta say, good job, Amazon. You did it. And I would highly recommend New World to anyone interested in playing it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe for more content just like this in the future, and let me know in the comments if there are any games that you'd like to see me talk about. Also, if you want to catch me live, I stream over at twitch.tv/Triceratops_Jr., and I'm there at least once or twice a week usually, and I play a whole wide variety of games. But yeah, that's it. Okay, y'all. Peace out. I will catch you on the flip side.